And we're live.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Committee on Legislation, Tuesday, July 13th, 2021. Councilmember Farrelletto,
Here.
Councilmember Golumback,
Here.
Councilmember Rivera,
Present.
Councilmember Bowman,
Here.
Councilmember Wyatt,
Here.
Councilmember Wingo.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Okay, so we're gonna start with item 1. Then after item 1, we're going to be taking item number 4 out of order. Then we'll proceed through the rest of the agenda in numerical order. So if you can start from the top.
Item number 1, National Fuel Gas Distribution versus City of Buffalo.
Items open.
This item is open. Corporation Counsel Tim Ball was invited to speak and give us an update on this.
You turn it over to me, Mr. Chairman?
I am turning it over to you.
Thanks. Items 1, 12, and 13 before the committee are related. This all stems from a change in the fee structure that the city instituted in July of 2014 now, where we doubled the permit fee for any utility company or anyone really seeking to do underground or digging work essentially within city rights of way. The fee structure doubled, so it went from $23 for a permit to $46, and it went from $82.50 per hour for an inspection to $165. At that point in time, National Fuel, who does far and away the most digging in the city because they have underground facilities, put us on notice that they were going to commence litigation against us, saying that the fee structure was unreasonable. We don't command the number of hours in inspection that we charge for based on what we actually do out there, and that under their franchise agreement, we can't charge them fees to maintain or repair their equipment anyways. So we engaged in settlement negotiations to try and find kind of a fair solution to this, where we know when National Fuel takes out these permits, they'll line up like a whole block for a job. So there'll be maybe 50 to 100 sites lined up one after the other. We know that it doesn't take our inspector, an hour to inspect all of these individual sites because they're right next to each other. And frankly, sometimes they don't even get out of the truck. So we tried to figure out a formula that was acceptable to Public Works, that recognized the economy of scale of a utility that does a lot of these permits, but consecutively within a street. So we know that it doesn't take us the time to go back and forth and drive out there and to inspect a fairly large number of these at one time. And we arrived at something that you see in the form of an ordinance amendment, which is $400 for a 90-day permit. Those are more complicated and require a couple more inspections than the garden variety, and $165 for a 30-day permit, which is the traditional situation you have where they might be fixing a line to a property. They'll dig up, our inspector will go out on the front end to make sure the dig was done right, and go out on the back end to make sure that it was properly restored. We think that it's fair and in line with what it actually costs us in the service that we're providing. It also contemplates, since they've been paying the old fee structure under protest for the last 7 years, a payment of $550,000 to the city, which we would get immediately upon execution. And then the new fee structure would apply to them going forward, so long as they continue to pull 1,000 permits a year. So it's just recognizing economies of scale and the volume that this particular utility does, and the fact that when these jobs are close together, you're not spending 50 hours out there inspecting 50 job sites. You're probably spending an hour and a half, if that. Any questions?
One question.
Majority Leader Rivera.
Tim, using the old fee structure and the new fee structure, what's the average cost now for the permit to dig up each hole?
Now you're gonna have $165 fee for your permit and your inspections, as opposed to it being, say, the old fee structure, you would have done $105. The new fee structure, when it doubled, it would have been $210, but it also wouldn't have been capped. So you could go out there 3 times and charge the, you know,
This-
the higher fee for inspections that might take you 30 seconds and charge them for an hour.
Have you averaged it out what it means to the city in terms of revenue? Is it a loss? Is it neutral? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what the costs, what the revenues are to the city.
It's a gain over obviously the old fee structure. It's less than the new fee structure, but it's certainly a lot more than if they were to be successful litigating it, where we'd either potentially fall back to the old fee structure, or a court could come in and say, well, you can't charge them at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Motion to approve?
Okay, motion to approve, seconded by Council Member Scanlon.
Motion to take item 4 out of order?
Motion to take item number 4 out of order, seconded by Councilmember Noakowski.
Item number 4, letter to Parking Commissioner Helfer.
This item is open. This was a letter Councilmember Wyatt sent to Parking Commissioner Kevin Helfer, who I believe is on this call or joining the call shortly. Councilmember Wyatt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to send this out because, again, we continue to have some confusion about these cameras, and people continue to get tickets, even though the legislation that we put forth as it was approved officially on June 15th would not allow for additional tickets. So I guess we just need to know where we're going, if the letters and things have gone out to the vendor to cease and desist these cameras and remove them, so we can begin using the non-punitive mechanisms to slow down speeding in school zones. I know that there has been some signage change. I know on Bailey, it's gone from 15 to 20 miles an hour. So some of the things are happening. I know some of my colleagues and I have been working with Public Works to get our speed readers and also the markings and things in place, as well as having further conversation about the speed humps, which right now we have not heard any definitive time and period that those will be in place. But again, we're all hopeful that by September 1, when school begins, that all those things will be in place, especially in the areas in which the cameras will be removed. So I'm looking forward to the commissioner coming and just speaking to a couple of those issues if he's on, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. So I can't see everyone on my screen. Is Commissioner Helfer here?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Helfer is not on the call. There's been some mixed wires in getting him to this meeting. However, he has said that he would be available for caucus or the next legislation meeting per the wishes of Mr. Wyatt.
Okay, so he's not, sorry, I cut out a little bit. So he's not here today?
That is correct, sir. He can follow up at caucus or the next legislation meeting.
That's how we're gonna do it. I guess that's what we have to do.
Okay. Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, I just want the general public that are watching us and paying close attention to the whole issue of these cameras. This council repealed it. Our desire is for those cameras to come down. Every day that those cameras are up is a reminder of a bad policy that the city has. They should come down. People have asked, what is the council doing? Well, the council did what it was supposed to do. We repealed it. We're talking about street calming infrastructure. We're working with Public Works to buy these speed readers to stripe the streets, especially, and even the speed humps, not only there, but throughout the city of Buffalo. So we are asking our Public Works Department to work quickly on this. We want to make sure that those cameras are down and the street calming infrastructure is up before the kids go back to school. We want to make sure that the kids are safe, and we want to do this like right now. It should have been done yesterday, and I'm hoping this administration moves quickly on removing those cameras. I've heard complaints from residents that understand if they're still ticketing people, perhaps there's summer school, I'm not sure, but the people are irate, they're frustrated, they're angry, and they're looking to us as council members. I get those calls. I've met with people from Fair Fees and Fines, and they're asking, what's the Common Council doing? Well, the Common Council did its job. We're working with the administration to move this along. So I just want that on the record, that we are encouraging the administration to remove those cameras. Thank you.
Thank you. I would also ask, I know our caucus meeting isn't until next Monday, and our next committee meeting is in 2 weeks. So if council staff is, Malcolm, if you're on the call now, if you could reach back out to the commissioner, and if we can just get a definite answer if there are any cameras on right now and what times they're on, because I know there's some confusion about it. I believe from what I saw on a news report that there's one camera on and it's on Bailey, but the sign says 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I just think it would be very clear. It would be much appreciated if everyone knew if there's any cameras on, if so, where are they and what time? And if we could have that information now before our next caucus meeting, which is Monday, that would be very important to get that out to the residents of the city of Buffalo. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councilmember. We'll reach out now and get that information for you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyatt?
Mr. Chair, just to add to that, there's a number of lawsuits going against the city. And, you know, we need to be clear on how we approach this. There's legislation that was approved on the 4th of June, took effect on the 15th of June. There should be no more tickets. It says in the legislation that there should be no more tickets. So if people are still getting tickets, I'm still concerned and wondering why, because the legislation says that it was a cease and desist as of the 15th. Now, the other pieces that we've been trying to move along as quickly as possible is regarding the termination. I know that's the administration's role. We've been going through this process for quite some time. We did 2 pieces of legislation to get to the point where we finally decided that we were going to repeal it. So we've done everything we can for the public to make certain that this is moved and removed out of their psyche, because really it's psyching people out, because people continue to see beacons on Bailey and they're wondering what's going on and they're sending out irate messages. So we need to get this taken care of as soon as possible. And I appreciate your leadership in getting some additional information and some certainty, because when we talk about the speed humps, we don't have a specific date. And that's the other thing that people are frustrated, because some people have put out information to apply for the Safe Streets campaign and no one has a specific date. I know they continue to work on it, but as my colleague, Majority Leader Rivera stated, we really want to move this along as quickly as possible, especially as this new school year is approaching rather quickly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Golumback.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things. I remember, I believe that This originally passed by a 9-0 vote in order to implement the cameras in the city of Buffalo. And those of us that were on the council at that time, I think, voted for it because we thought that it was the best, wisest way to move forward. Obviously, it was a cluster from day one for numerous reasons. I think partially because the program started at around the same time that COVID shutdowns occurred and so on. My concern is this: I constantly voted against this in order to send it to committee so that we would have had our questions answered prior to the program being shut down or allegedly being shut down. I remember that I had questions that were never answered. In particular, what does the contract actually say? Can we actually shut the program down without penalizing the city of Buffalo? When would the cameras actually be shut off? Legally speaking, I've gone to black clubs and I've had to tell my black clubs that, I don't have answers to a lot of these questions because I think that perhaps like when we voted by 9-0 to implement the cameras, we quickly voted to do away with the cameras without really doing our due diligence. I would have liked to have had all of these questions answered, back in May. And if we would have waited an extra 2 weeks for a cycle of committee and then approving, I think that the cameras, the final vote of 6-3 may have been different ultimately. But more importantly, our questions that we're raising now, I think would have been answered. And I think that these are questions that should have been raised back in April and May. And I know that these are some of the same questions that I did ask at that time, and I did not get any answers for them. And then we immediately sent this to full council and it was voted on. So, I'm just disappointed in that fact. I agree with my colleagues. I'd like to be able to tell my constituents exactly what is going on right now, but the reality is that, we really don't know. I have several schools that may or may not have summer school this summer. I was talking to a friend of mine, a Buffalo teacher who lives in the city of Buffalo, and he said, I think West Hurdle has, or I think Grabiars has summer school, but West Hurdle does not. I said, are you sure? And he goes, no, I'm not sure. I'd like to be able to know that for sure so that I could warn my residents, but I also don't want to put out a false warning and then people say, oh, well, gee, there was no summer school there, and, Golombek put out false information. I hope in the future that we think these things a little bit more thoroughly before we approve them. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, just a procedural item on this. This body did vote to send it without sending it to committee. Then we brought it up for a vote, sent it to committee, and then after it went to committee, did go back to council. So for anyone wondering about the procedural history on that, that's exactly what happened. But I know we talked about this probably every council or committee meeting for a year. So there was certainly a lot of confusion about this. Anyone else? Council member.
Yeah, just to follow up to that, the questions that I just asked were the same questions that I was asking, back in April and May that I didn't get an answer for. And I just think that those questions, had they been answered, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in right now. I remember, I think at 2 committee meetings, I raised these questions, or 1 committee and 1 full council meeting, and there was not a single response that was given to me by anyone that could clarify the time frame, the issues dealing with the contract. So that's my concern. We didn't get answers, yet we approved this or denied it and moved it along. And now we're scrambling to try to get answers. I wish that we would have just been able to get the answers up front, known for a fact everything right now, and then be able to move on. Because I don't think there's any of the 9 of us that know 100% for sure what's going on with these cameras right now.
Thank you. And I do think when it did go back to committee, I think there was very little, if any, conversation on it, to your point. Councilmember Wyatt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to respond, and I know it's respond to you, to my colleague who has a lot of conversation with the mayor. I would have thought you would have had that conversation with them. There was a lot of back and forth to this thing, and I think we're not scrambling. We're trying to push this thing along. I think for the last several months, the administration knew what was going on, that this was coming to an end. And we were trying to make certain that we addressed our legal obligation to make sure the vendor was very much aware, and it's in the contract. I don't think we need anyone to tell us how that it is in the contract that they had to be notified. So a lot of the things that we're talking about scrambling is just simply getting people to take action, not this, that we don't know what's going on. We know what's going on. We know that school is going to be coming up September 1, and we want the non-punitive measures to be in place. We want people to stop being ticketed unfairly. The legislation says that this ordinance amendment shall take effect immediately upon being duly ratified. I don't think we need anybody to interpret that. I think we're clear on that. And that took place on June 4th, which the mayor did not sign, which is June 15th. So people should not be getting tickets. So I think we know what's going on. We may not want to take action on it, but we do know what's going on. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Would anyone else like to speak on this item? And I can only see a certain amount of people, so if I don't call on you, you can just chime in. Councilmember Wingo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we know how much the cameras are going to cost to be taken down? Does anyone know how much it's going to cost the city to take the cameras down? Hold on. I am not muted, am I?
I can hear you.
Okay. So does anyone know how much it's going to cost the city to take these cameras down? Was that in the budget? Did we propose to have the mayor put a line in the budget to allocate funding to remove the cameras? Does anyone know?
So there's no one from Budget, Public Works, or Commissioner Helfer is here. I know offhand, just from my recollection, I know there was not an item in the budget for revenue from the cameras, but I don't know offhand without looking if there was any item for taking it down. I know to set up and to set up the cameras, all of those costs were on the company Census Gatso. They took on the responsibility of all the costs of putting them up, but I do not know about taking them down. But that's a question. If no one can answer that, we can certainly put that on the list for Commissioner Helfer.
Okay. So we voted to repeal a program, but we didn't ask for funding to take the cameras down, right?
If that question's for me, it was breaking up a little bit and I didn't hear it.
Oh.
Or I don't know if that's another question to Commissioner Helfer.
Okay. We have, as a council, we've disposed of the budget. The mayor has proposed it. We knew that we didn't want these, as a body, we knew that we didn't want the cameras up anymore. And we knew that there was going to be a cost, since this council had a veto-proof, decision at the time to make sure that the cameras and that program ended. But we didn't request anything in the budget to ensure that we had the funds to remove the cameras. And now we're in a position where I have to agree with my colleague. Had we kind of slow walked this, not dragging our feet, but just kind of taking our time, we may have been able to anticipate a cost for taking these cameras down. I don't remember which one of my colleagues mentioned this being somewhat of a constant reminder of a bad program with the cameras still being there. But that's a great point, but we should have also considered in our, hurry to take the repeal the program, we should have been also thinking to fund the removal of these cameras as well. And I think this is just, indicative of the fact that we probably should allow things to be vetted through our committees so that questions can be answered, concerns can be addressed. And in fact, I'm going to push back on my colleague Golombek and say that speak for yourself, sir, because you included all of us when it was not all of us who thought that this program should have not been going to committee. So with that being said, I'll be happy, very, very happy to hear what the plans are to fund this, because I've always said from the very beginning, I mean, if we want to remove this program, if we want to repeal this program, okay, you guys got it, repeal it, let's do it. But where's the money coming from to do it? Look at the record, you see me asking those questions. You'll also see me saying something to the effects of, if this program isn't going to be ended until September, why are we in a hurry to pass something that has a date stamp on it? So we've all been listening to our constituents. The constituents that live around the schools that have the cameras, they've called my office and said, thank you for your advocacy on keeping the program, because we feel safer with the cameras there, because people have been slowing down. The data showed that people had been slowing down. But this just was, I believe, bad timing with the rollout of the program, being that the program rolled out as soon as COVID struck. I do not disagree with my colleagues that this was a money grab. I do not agree with that. Just like with any law that is broken, there are going to be fines, fees, and things that have to be put in place as punitive measures. We knew that this was a punitive measure when we voted it in unanimously, but then we use that same punitive measure as an excuse to get rid of it. To me, that's hypocritical, oxymoronic, contradictory, call it whatever you want. But that being said, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just know that if we've asked for the mayor and the commissioners to set aside any funding for the removal of these cameras, because we do know that the vendor didn't pay for, but they absorbed the cost of installing their equipment on our infrastructure. We do know that. And as far as, these cameras being removed, I think that we have a lot more work to do as far as investigating how we're going to pay for that and where the money's going to come from. So that said, Mr. Chair, I'd really like for that to be notated for our chief of staff to have that question answered as well, with the other myriad questions that myself and my colleagues have regarding the removal and repealing of this program. That, of course, 6-3, we voted to repeal. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on this item? Seeing and hearing none, we will table this item.
Motion to table.
Seconded by Council Member Golombek.
Item number 2, food store license 3154 Bailey.
Item is open.
This item is open. It's a application for a food store license in the University District. The applicants are not required to come, but is there an applicant here for this store in the University District? Okay, Councilmember Wyatt.
Mr. Chair, if the applicant is not on, I talked to them, and they're only transferring this from one person to another. I've talked to the other person, and The Red Sea has done a great job of redeeming itself because we used to have a lot of problems from that particular store. The police were involved a number of times, but over the last number of years, since the new owner has been involved, it's been a great compliment to our district. So again, for that, I approve it. And just ask that we continue the path that they've been on for the last couple of years and to maintaining and doing a great job in meeting the needs of the neighborhood and also supporting the neighborhood. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Seconded by Council Member Scanlon.
Item number 3, food store license 572 South Division, AKA 155 Jefferson.
Items open.
This item is open. The applicant was invited and Ahmed, are you on the call?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, if you could give us a brief synopsis of this and then we'll go to the council president.
Yes, sir. Thank you for inviting me on this. Actually, we've been in this location since 2009, and we have done a great job renovating this whole corner, and it goes between North Division and South Division. And that was our first improvement when we got the business. And we did a second renovation from the ground up a couple years ago, 2019, where we dug all the tanks out, put a brand new tanks, brand new canopy, a brand new pump, brand new signs. And during that transition of the renovation, we forgot to renew our food store license, and we found out that we have to go through the whole process again, which we've been doing, and we paid the fee, and I think number inspection came out, and everything looks fine. It's a brand new building, a brand new gas station, and we're proud of the job we did for the last few years that we've been there.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else here to speak on this item before we go to Council President Pridgen? Seeing none, Council President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ahmed has done a great job with that building. I'm fine with moving it forward to approve.
Okay, motion is to approve, seconded by Council Member Nowakowski.
Appreciate it, Councilman.
Item number 5, special use permit 716 Elmwood.
Motion, let's see, item is number 5 is motion to table, item number 5.
The motion is to table, and the public hearing in the legislative committee is July 27th, and that is seconded by Councilmember Golombek.
Item 6, special use permit 383 Babcock for waste transfer.
Items open.
This item is open. Is anyone here on 383 Babcock?
Mr. Chair,
Councilmember Nowakowski.
this is in the Fillmore District in Seneca Babcock neighborhood, and I've been in conversations with multiple city departments regarding this application. At this time, can you please table it?
Motion to table.
Seconded by Councilmember Nowakowski.
Item number 7, special use permit 253 Allen.
Hearing is set for the 27th.
Okay, motion is to table items 7 and 8, seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Item number 9, special use permit 125 Crescent for non-owner occupied short-term rental.
Item is open.
This item is open. Is the applicant here?
I'm here. Sarah Reen.
Oh, hey, Sarah. How you doing?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good. Can you just give a brief description of the property and project that you're working on? Or
Sure. So I'm from Buffalo, and we bought a 2-unit house across the street from my sister. And the upper unit is rented, it's in Parkside. The upper unit is rented to a couple long-term. And then the lower unit, we are planning to use as an Airbnb. And then also when we visit Buffalo ourselves, but the request is to have a permit for that short-term rental Airbnb.
Okay, and just so the application is for the bottom unit of 125 Crescent or the lower unit?
Yes.
Okay. Is anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, then we will send this item without recommendation. So the motion is to send without recommendation, seconded by Council Member Noakowski.
Item 10, local law, intro number 2, section 13-21, right to know.
Items open.
This item is open. Council President, the bill sponsor, has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been worked on with Corporation Council, with the community, many from the community. We were able to make some very important changes, removing the district attorney from this process, which was suggested. I have met with the DA, so he was fine with that, obviously, because we cannot, the district attorney cannot bring charges against an officer for not showing or giving a card or offering a card. It would be a disciplinary action like every other rule that is not backed up by federal or state law. This also has been adjusted so that to ensure that if a minor is stopped, that minor could receive the same courtesy of being offered a card. A person does not have to accept the card, but the officer basically will have to offer a card for a level 2 and above stop. And so I want to thank my colleagues for supporting this, those who will, because I think it again, and I've said this all throughout the year and everything that I've brought forth for police reform, this is not about penalizing police. This is about greater transparency and what I've heard for the last 10 years here, of people wanting greater relationship with good policing. And I think that this is another level for this. If you've never been stopped by an officer who didn't want to identify, an officer who said, just get it off my badge, then you really probably would not understand the gravity of this move. If you have never seen your friends pat down for just being outside, then you would not understand the gravity. But those who have lived this will tell you that there are officers out there that when you ask them, what's your name, it already starts a confrontation. And this, we hope, as it has in other areas when it was embraced, that this will continue to advance good policing, public safety for probably a better term, but really about customer service. Because whether you are a police officer or whether you work in the tax office, we should be customer service friendly regardless of that. Just got handed a note, just one other thing, that it codifies the stop receipts and explains it in more detail. So that's all there. And I just wanted to bring that forth, that this, and ask that it would be approved and moved to the council, to the full council.
Motion to approve.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Item 11, ordinance amendment, chapter 479, adopt a street park program.
Motion to approve items 11, 12, and 13.
Seconded by Council Member Scanlon.
Go back to the screen. Take from the table items 15, 16, 17, 34, 52 and 55.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Item 15, special use permit 2227 South Park for tobacco establishment, smoke shop, and N3E zone.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Seconded by Councilmember Scanlon. This is the applicant for this item here. Can someone pull the agenda up again so I could read the address? Okay, 2227 South Park is the applicant here.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, if you can give a, so for the public hearings, we have a 3-minute time limit. So if you can give a quick overview of your project, and then if anyone else is here to speak on it, they will have the floor.
Yes, so what we are bringing to the table today to the council is a retail space located at 2227 South Park Avenue in a shopping plaza. The space itself is about 2,500 square feet. And what we would like to do is put a hookah shop there side by side with a sweet shop. Like I said, the space is about 2,500 square feet. So what we will do is we'll actually make a divider between the two storefronts, and we'll have one side as a hookah shop and the other side strictly desserts. Two separate entities there. But what I'm proposing to the council today is the hookah shop at 2227 South Park Avenue.
Okay, is there anyone else here to speak on this item?
Mr. Chair.
President Pro Tem Scanlon.
Thank you for the floor, Mr. Chair. If we could send this without recommendation, I will circle back with the applicant this week and hash this all out with him before next week's meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Motion is to send without recommendation.
Motion to close public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Scanlon. Motion to send without rec, seconded by Councilmember Scanlon.
Item 16, zoning map amendment 395, AKA 389 Ganson.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Seconded by Councilmember Noakowski. This item is open. If you could pull the agenda back up again. This is the public hearing for 395 Ganson for a zoning map amendment. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I am. I'm Kate with Hope Rising.
And
Okay.
I am, and Douglas Klotzbach with K2 Architectures also.
Okay, if you can give a brief, if you all can give a brief description of the proposal, and then we'll open up the floor to other speakers.
All right, great. Thank you. My name is Kate. Like I said, I'm the director of Hope Rising Together. We're a charity that's been working primarily in West Africa for the last 12 years, doing work overseas. And our program has grown to have some work right here in our city. So our goal is to turn this facility into a civic facility, both for our not-for-profit activities, but also in partnership with some others, smaller block clubs and advocacy groups. So I'll let Douglas share more details on the project.
So the main building here on the site, this is Douglas Klotzbach, K2 Architecture. The main building on the site is a silo. I don't know if they have the pictures, what we submitted for the project, but it is there's 20 cylinders and they go about 110 feet in the air. The first lower part is about 24 foot high, and that's designed will be where we'll be doing all the work, or all the activity will be in that area. The silos are basically structurally sound, but not probably appropriate to put grain in anymore without, substantial changes to it, or putting some structural in it. The other aspect is the roof part, which is the penthouse, which is being mothballed and basically encapsulated in insulation and coating for the entire thing. So that is already permitted through the building department, and that work is underway to secure the building to make it waterproof. As far as the construction of the other areas down below, we're working through the idea of putting in several large areas for a civil assembly as well as associated bathrooms and the like that would be with that activity. One of the things that we're also anticipating is working with water keepers and be able to make sure that that waterfront is accessed. And that's one of the things that the owner has a great intent to do, to continue on the changes and the improvement of access to the waterways of the city of Buffalo. And that's one of the things that I think as a whole, plus having, I think we have 3 letters of support that we have submitted, and we have other verbal supports along the way. So we're kind of excited about this project. It's we had some pictures too go along with it. I don't know if you guys, everybody received them, but they are in the report that we submitted, and that shows the changing of what it will look like, and it just basically cleaning up that entire structure to make it look presentable.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilmember Scanlon.
thank you again for the floor. I have been out to this site. I did meet with the applicant. We took a tour of the site, talked about the plans there. I will continue conversations with them this week. So if we could send this without recommendation for now.
Okay, we will send it without recommendation. Motion to end, to close the public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Scanlon. Motion to send without rec, seconded by Councilmember Scanlon.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Councilmember Scanlon.
Item 17, special use permit 311 Bryant Street for tavern and outdoor dining.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Seconded by Councilmember Gullumbeck. So we have a public hearing now for 311 Bryant Street. I thought I saw the owner on here before, but I can't see everyone.
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, there you are. If you could, Dave, if you can just give us a very brief description of what's going on, please.
Outdoor dining, tables and chairs on the sidewalks around the building on the corner, and also the existing patio that has been on site and used for the last 14 years that I've been in operation there, and many years before that when it was just possible, always been used as an outdoor patio. I have to get licensing for that as well. So in total, we're talking about 38 additional outdoor seats for continued outdoor dining.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? Linda Gelman.
Yes, hi. Thank you for this time to speak to you. My name is Linda Gelman. I live at 122 Ashland Avenue, and I'm here representing the block club that I run on Ashland Avenue, the first and 7 blocks. I had been called by a lot of neighbors concerning this corner. Dave has been an excellent addition to our neighborhood. It's a wonderful restaurant. It's been a great restaurant for many decades, and especially since he took it over. Our concern is with the site traffic and the pathway going through that area where there's seating on the corner. And we have some people who are blind who walk through there. We have problems with slow rolls through the stop sign, and the permit application with the information, the drawings were confusing, and it leaves the neighbors kind of out of the process too. So we're asking the council staff, who were very kind to return our calls. They were also a little confused about the drawings, and the clarity wasn't really there. So we're looking for more clarity and for the drawings to be shown to us of what's actually going to happen there. It's a part of the due process, and it's hard to say affirmatively that this is a good thing when the information is confusing. So, I know there's other matters that people have brought into this that really have nothing to do with the seating. Dave is well aware about the trash situation there, and it's been talked about that he's going to take care of that. But we kind of wanted that on the record for today. So that's our main concern, is that we really haven't seen actual plans drawn of what is going to be there. and it leaves a lot of questions for this area.
Since this is in Council Member Rivera's district, I will give Council Member Rivera the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Dave, just a few questions that the neighborhood has. How many seats are you requesting?
38.
38. Are you requesting seats in addition to what you currently have there?
No, it's exactly what I've been serving outside since last summer when this started. And that was started on New York State's urging us to keep us in business and move your operations outside on the sidewalks. They were even
Okay, so you have 38. Okay, you have 38 seats there. So you're not adding any additional seats.
not to what I've been had out there for the past summer.
Can you confirm the days and hours of operation?
Yes, Tuesday through Sunday, 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Okay, do they
And
differ?
Sunday brunch, and also Sunday brunch, 11:30 to 3.
Do your hours of differ from what you did in the past?
They have not varied, no. They've always been.
Okay, so it's the same hours and days of operation.
That's correct.
Okay, as far as ingress and egress, is there any obstruction as far as sidewalks or entryways into the business?
No, there's not.
Okay, the neighborhood asked for a design of the seating arrangements.
Is what
Can
I
you provide the neighborhood with clear indication? Pardon me?
thought that I provided that in a drawing when I submitted the application.
I guess they're not, it's not clear to them. That shows exactly where the tables are going to go.
Okay.
If you can provide that,
Want me to
greatly
make-
appreciated.
want me to make a
There
better-
was a
I'm not sure what you're asking me for. I gave you
Okay.
a drawing, if they can't
well, we
understand it, maybe, I'm sure they've seen it because they're,
can have a discussion on that. As far as your trash pickup, can you tell us what kind of service? Is it the city totes that you use, or do you
Yes.
use a private
City.
company?
City
City totes. Do you need any additional totes?
I spoke with Valerie from your office today. Certainly a few more totes would be helpful. And she told me to call 311 and suggest more totes. That was the spiel.
Okay. And your phone number is on your application,
That's correct.
and people have access to that information.
You keep
And they
breaking up.
can,
Councilman, you keep
I'm
breaking up.
sorry, maybe it's my internet. People have access to your phone number via your application. Is that correct?
I would think so if it's on there. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, we would like you to work with the neighborhood. Many of them frequent your establishment. Probably we want to make sure that we deal with any concerns. I am going to close the public hearing today, and I am going to table this until I'm able to get all the information and work between you and the community, make sure the answers are, people are happy with the answers. But I've been to your establishment. It's a fine restaurant. We'll try to move this along with the conditions that we'll set, and hopefully with the support of the neighbors in the community as well. So motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Motion to take.
Seconded by Councilmember Noakowski.
Item 34, food store license 360 William.
Items open.
This item is open. The applicant was invited to speak 360 William in the Ellicott District. Is anyone here to speak on this item?
Hello?
Yes,
Hey,
are you here to speak on this, the item we just called out?
Yes.
Okay, great. If you can give us a brief description of the application or proposal.
Okay, and which proposal is this regarding to?
The one that you just said you were here to speak on in the Ellicott district.
Okay, one moment. ايش بدك انت تقول انت؟ Okay, we were looking towards opening the business there.
Which address are you speaking about? If I can just cut you off, what address are you speaking about?
We're speaking about 360 William Street. We're looking to open
Okay,
a
great. So we're all on the same page now.
Yes, we're looking to open a location there. We need to know what licenses we need to get, the correct appropriate information we need in order to start the location there. We remodeled it. We hooked it up. We have a good entrance point. We have good windows, good closing point. Everything there looks set up and ready. We just need the approval, and we need to know what we need, brother, from you.
Okay, well, the council president is on the call, and this is in the Ellicott district. So we will turn the floor over to Council President Pridgen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the name is Nasir. Is that correct?
Yes.
What kind of business? Because those questions about what else you need to do should have been answered at the permit location. What kind of store?
The permit location told us we had to speak to one of you guys and be on a conference call, so we
Yeah.
understand.
Right. So you're here at probably the final step. What kind of store is it?
The grocery location.
You said you already started renovating it?
Yes, sir.
Did you already stock it?
Yes, we have it. We have all hooked up. We did not stock the groceries and stuff in there. No, not yet. Not that. But we did get everything.
Is this the first store that you've opened?
We have multiple locations. We have a second location as well.
So I'm gonna say this again so that everybody understands. If neighbors had have come out against the store, I would probably be against the store. So I want to caution you in the future of spending money, because what ends up happening, then folks come back and say, I spent $250,000 fixing up this store, as if you believe that you are guaranteed a license, and you're not. So I would ask that you kind of put the cart, in front of the horse.
Of course. We approached it correctly. We didn't apply the correct, the products and the location are not in there. We just got it set up and made it commercial just to see if we can get the approval. The community is okay with it. We spoke to multiple people in the community. The community is looking forward to having the location. Okay, sir. We needed to know. We already talked about the permits and stuff. I believe we have all the correct stuff. We just wanted to get the finalized with you, sir.
Yeah, it has to come through the council, but please, sir, in the
Yes, sir.
future, make sure that you don't put all that money into it, because
Yes, sir. We didn't.
is not guaranteed, okay?
Yes, sir. We didn't put a huge investment, but we did get everything properly done the correct manner. So we can. We have a location. Thank you, sir. We have a location at 530 William Street. We're trying our best here to be here for the community here, and we just want to open a location down the street.
Okay. No Lucy's in there, right?
No, hell no.
All right, sir. I'm okay approving this with conditions. Thank you for your honesty.
Motion to approve conditions.
Motion is to close the public hearing, seconded by Council President Pridgen. Motion to approve with conditions, seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item 52, endorsement of right to know law.
Motion to receive and file items 52 and 55.
Seconded by Councilmember Gullumbeck.
Mr. Chair, I was asked to take item 17 from the table as well.
Okay, I believe we already discussed 17 with Bryant, with
Okay.
Aroma on Bryant. Did you want to revisit that again?
That's correct. Is that the last item?
Yes.
No further items. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Councilmember Noakowski.